Hello and a warm welcome back to the garden on this beautifully sunny September morning. There's a few jobs I want to do, so I thought I would take you along, film it as I go along and share with you some of the things we're doing as we're approaching late September. One of the first tasks I've got today is to plant some allium bulbs in this island bed. If you can remember back, this island bed has had a bit of a makeover. We've planted a beautiful small growing apple tree in the centre. We've got lovely perennial planting all around. And what I thought we'd do is, this bed has a lot of sun. It does get a lot of sun during the day when the sun swings round. It is a raised bed. It's very free draining, and I think it's the ideal spot to be planting allium bulbs. Allium bulbs require really good drainage. They're not great if you have heavy soil, particularly clay soil. You need to have free draining soil for these, otherwise the bulbs will rot. So this is an ideal situation for them. And when these flower, which will be kind of like early summer kind of time, there won't be as much growth around this area. So you'll find there'll be spaces where these lovely ornamental bulbs can pop up and shine with their beautiful violet purple flowers. Now this variety is one called Purple Rain, and this is a hybrid between the well-known Allium Purple Sensation, which is widely grown throughout the UK and other countries, and also the Allium Christophii, which is the one with the huge humongous head. So this is a nice one, a really nice one, and I just think this is going to be perfect in this space here. So this is an ideal time to be planting allium bulbs. And we just got these were from B&Q. You can get them in garden centres, you can buy them online. They are widely available. Some of the more unique varieties you might have to go online with, but things like Purple Rain, Purple Sensation, even Christophii, you can usually get in garden centres and DIY stores. So this pack was £4, and I got, how many's in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 bulbs. So not bad for £4, and these will obviously come up year after year and provide us with that beautiful, lovely dome of purple unique flowers. This variety grows to a height of around 1 metre, and you have these lovely heads of around 15 centimetre in diameter. So a really beautiful striking flower come the time when they do come out. Planting these bulbs is no different from any other bulbs that you plant. The rule is try and plant them at least 3 times the depth of their height. And don't worry too much. I mean, bulbs do move around in the soil. They can get themselves to the right depth as well. They can negotiate the soil and get to where they want to be. So don't be too hung up on that. So I'm just going to use this trowel. It has a nice gauge, so it tells you the centimetres of the depth. And if I just put this bulb near it, see if you can kind of see, that's kind of 1 depth, 2 depth, 3 depth. So I want to be going up to maybe where the top of that gauge is coming to, and that should be the right depth for these bulbs. Smaller bulbs will obviously not be planted as deep, and larger bulbs will be planted even deeper. So I'm going to get the bulbs out to begin with, so I know what I'm worth. So 1, 2. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 bulbs. So I'm just going to plant them randomly around some of the perennials, just by moving some of the foliage away and getting into where the spaces are. So the first one, and with allium bulbs, they had a bit of a funny, strange shape, but you usually get a little bit of old root on the bottom that you can see, bit of old root there, and the top generally should be more pointed, but that's not always the case with these. So the best way to look at it is find where those little roots are, because you know that that is the bottom. And then it's just a case of finding a space, digging a hole, like I said, to the right depth regarding the size of the bulbs, and then just popping them in with the top facing upwards, and then popping that soil over the top. So another one can go in there. Cover that over. So I'm going in to some of these places where you just about make a space. It's always difficult at this time of year because your plants are always taking up a lot of the space and you can't really get to them, which is why I don't usually plant in borders, because at this time of year I usually don't have the soil to plant bulbs. And not only that, I also find that I do a lot of digging, a lot of dividing, replanting, and that does disturb the bulbs. And sometimes if you cut through the bulbs in the process, you've lost your prized plants. So I'm just going to put a little cluster on this side. So as I was saying, that is the bottom with those little roots coming out there, and that is the top. Bulbs are normally more pointy. These particular ones can be a little bit difficult to understand, but you can see like a flat base there, and that is the actual base, and the roots will come out the bottom there. It's a nice cluster of 3 in that area. If I make some space around this eryngium, I can pop another one down there. And just incidentally, this eryngium is actually trying to flower. Now I've never actually known an eryngium flower towards the end of September, but that is definitely a flower stem, as is that one. So we will see what happens with them. It's obviously very happy here, and these were taken as root cuttings. So these are root cutting plants that were grown, I think, last year, and now they're doing really, really well. So that'll be a nice sight to see. This is the spent seed head of the one that flowered during the summertime, but as you can see, it's got quite a lot of architectural value, so we're going to leave that on. So I'm going to go inside just past this diacia, and I'm going to plant one just there. Nice there. And then just another one. Let's see. Yeah, I put another one just on this edge here. And that is all of those planted. So that should make a really, really nice effect come May, June time, when all this is not as floriferous as it is. There's a bit more space, and all these lovely purple violet kind of flower heads come around on this side. It'd be lovely, really nice. So that's one task done. On to the next. Next, on to planting in this border behind me. We have a brand new perennial. We've never grown before, we've never seen before, and it's one of those ones where you're walking around a plant nursery and instantly something catches your eye, and it's like, I've just got to have you. And obviously this came home with us. And when we looked at the label, I was very surprised to find that this is actually a type of Veronica, because I normally associate Veronicas as having those nice thin flower heads, a bit like a salvia. But this one is completely different. This one has thistle-like flowers in this beautiful deep pinky kind of purple tone. And this one is Veronica angustifolia cross missurica. So this is the cross between Veronica angustifolia and Veronica missurica. So there's 2 different species that have been crossed together, and this is the result. And this is a lovely one. It has these lovely deep purple stems, nice thin foliage, quite hairy, but most importantly it has these beautiful clusters of these lovely purple thistle-like flowers, and they are just absolutely amazing. And these flower during September and October. So these are perfect for late pollinators. It's perfect if your garden goes into a decline towards the end of September going into October. Some of these will liven it up and give it some interest, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to grow it, because we've got a space behind that I've been meaning to fill with something, and this will grow up to 2 meters tall once established. And it also grows along the ground through rhizomes, so it produces like quite a nice neat clump, and also give us the potential to propagate from the rhizomes and spread this around the garden. So this is all in all a beautiful plant to grow, and it's actually good for moist soils. So if you do have problem areas where you have a lot of waterlogging, maybe during the winter time, or just a generally damp area, this will be fine in that situation. If people do have that moist retentive kind of soil and you're struggling to grow other things, and you may be thinking what can you grow that flowers later on in the season, this will be an ideal plant. And like I say, these flowers are just tremendous. So we're going to grow it here. Now these Calamagrostis brachytriaceae grasses are just mental. These just sit there all summer long, minding their own business with just some nice foliage. Then all of a sudden you get to late August, early September, and you get this explosion of these flower plumes, and they're absolutely beautiful. We love them, but I'm going to have to kind of negotiate around them, because where I want to plant this is going to be towards the back end of the fence. So let's get planting. It's a wonderful plant and I'm really excited to be getting this in. So I'm going to do my best to tackle these Calamagrostis flowers. They are quite delicate, so I don't want to kind of break any. So if I just move it away slightly, I should be able to get to where I'm going. Now I apologise in advance, the camera angle for this is not the best, but let's have a look. We can move. Got a nice aquilegia down there, which is nice. We do have a nice space just here, which should be perfect for it. That should be okay. So let's just remove any weeds on the top, get them out of the way, and then let's get this in. So as you can see, quite a nice root system there, quite fleshy. Let's try and untangle that a little bit. So in it pops, and there we go. So there it is, planted in its space. Obviously by the time it grows next year it should be a little bit larger, growing up to 2 meters. And obviously if we get it to spread, it'll mean we'll have lots and lots of lovely new plants as well. I think that looks beautiful. And I've just got some water to give it a good watering in. Get that nice and settled. And also the same with these alliums, just to get them settled in. So my next task is tackling these beautiful sweet peas, but unfortunately the amount of rain we had over the last few days, because there's no support past the fence, it's meant they've all bent over and there's not really much I can do with that now. So what I can do is salvage the flowers for indoors, but the actual top bit will need to be cut right back. There's nothing we can do, unfortunately, but all is not lost. I think next year we'll think about maybe putting an extra piece of trellis, maybe on these 2 pieces of wood, to give an extra foot or so height, because we do love our sweet peas, and unfortunately this seems to happen every year. It goes past the fence, we start to get bad rain and bad wind during the beginning of autumn, maybe even sometimes the end of summer, and this always happens. And whilst they still look beautiful, having this cascade coming over and all bent out of shape, it just makes the garden look untidy, so it has to go. So unfortunately it's a case of getting the shears, being quite brutal, and taking it back to the top of the fence. So I'll get on with that now. The lower parts will still continue to grow and obviously still flower, so we do have some that we can still enjoy. It's just all these ones that have gone and blown over. The stems to sweet peas are quite brittle as well, so once they do snap, there's really no going back. And it'll just mean whatever's left. I mean, there's one there that's snapped, which is going to be no use. It also just means whatever's left there now can be saved. There's quite a few going to seed. At this time of year, we can kind of slow down on the picking because it means we can get some seeds collected for sowing next year. So let me just try and get in here and pop these underneath this stem here. I'm still taking out tops of tomatoes. They just seem to keep growing and growing. We have taken some in to get them ripe inside, but there is still a number that are quite still green, and that's just because we did sow them quite late on. And this is what happens if you don't sow them early enough. They don't have enough time to ripen. So keep taking out the tips. And another week or so, if whatever's left that's not ripened, we'll bring indoors and we'll put them in a drawer somewhere dark with some bananas. That usually does the trick. So that's looking a little bit more tidier, and obviously we can still get a few of these flowers to enjoy further on the lower parts of this bush. But while I'm also here, I'm also going to remind myself that this beautiful salvia, which is a tender salvia, which has been growing outside all summer, does need to come for protection because these are not hardy, and if we leave these are going to get frosted and potentially die. So I'll be bringing that in, probably leaving that in the summer house over winter like we did last week. So I'll go and do that now while I remember. One of the things we've been meaning to do for many years, and that is bring in the garden a house for hedgehogs. We do know there's hedgehogs around in the garden, we've seen them. Our neighbour's got many hedgehogs coming back into feeding from her hedgehog station in her garden. So we know they're around, we want to support them. And hedgehogs go into hibernation towards like mid to late autumn, depending on the weather. If we do have a mild autumn, that might be later, but they do usually go in hibernation around October time, generally. And what we've done is we've bought a beautiful hedgehog house. This one came from Thompson and Morgan, and this was a self-build. You've got to build it yourself. It's a flat pack, but this is the kind of thing that you need for hedgehogs. It has an inner room, so when the hedgehog comes through the entrance, there is another space that the hedgehog can go into for protection from any predators. If you just have the one space, predators can get in that side and potentially harm the hedgehogs. So make sure you get one that's got that extra partition. And this one comes with this nice waterproof roof, and all you do is place that on there, and this is a beautiful little hedgehog home that we're going to place in the garden. So we're going to probably place it around the back end where there is pretty much, we don't touch that area. It's just underneath where the magnolia tree is, and it's a place that's safe and it's basically going to be left undisturbed. And if a hedgehog comes along and decides to take home, that's brilliant. We can then encourage him to have babies and use this garden not only as a place to go around and have a drink out the pond, but also as a place to nest and also hibernate. So I'm going to place that, if I can get to it with all the perennials in the way, I'm going to place that underneath the magnolia tree. Let's get putting that out. One of the last jobs to do today is just to go through the garden and do some deadheading. It is obviously late September time now, but there's still potential for things like cosmos to go on a month and a half, even longer, if we don't get too harsher weather. So just go around, unless you're wanting to save plants for seed, which in this case I don't, so I can go ahead and keep deadheading these as much as I like, because I'm not going to be saving seeds. I already have seed already from the packet from this year, but just keep going around and doing your deadheading, because it is something that is worthwhile still and will provide a lot of late nectar and pollen for those insects that are still around, that are not going into hibernation just yet, and give them food to sustain themselves. Now on these, some of the cosmos stems have died away, so it's just a case of cutting it back to some healthy growth. Where some new buds are forming. But you'll see on future garden tours that these will still be in flower. So it's really worth taking the effort now just to ensure they carry on flowering. So I'm going to leave the video there. I do hope you've enjoyed coming along with me today and doing some of these garden tasks. A little bit of a different video to what we normally do, a bit more generalised. So I do hope you've enjoyed the variety of things that I've been doing today. Please give me a like, please subscribe, and if you have any comments, drop those in the comments box below the video. There is a number of videos we already have which we published last year and the year before about jobs to be doing throughout the month of September, month of October and the month of November. So do check those out. There is lots of different things you can have a look at and be kind of like guiding you with some of the jobs that you can be doing in your gardens during those particular months. We will see you very soon on the next video. In the meantime, please do take care, enjoy the sunshine while we have it, and we will see you very soon on the next one. Take care.